After 22 years in the Army, with 2 grueling tours in the desert and a Purple Heart pinned to my chest, all I craved was silence. No more chaos, no more orders, just a quiet life with my wife, Sarah, and our German shepherd, Duke. We thought we'd found it in Pineview Meadows, a pristine neighborhood far from the city's clamor, with neat lawns and friendly waves. But beneath the surface of block parties and trimmed hedges, a rogue HOA festered, drunk on power and itching for control. It started small. Letters slipped into our mailbox, nitpicking our lives. Your grass is an inch too tall. Your curtains must be cream, not navy. Your pickup truck offends the community aesthetic. I chuckled at first. I'd faced insurgents and roadside bombs. A few busybodies with clipboards didn't faze me. Sarah, though, felt the sting of their words. She'd always been the one to keep things calm, but the HOA's tone sharp, almost threatening, put her on edge. When they started knocking on our door unannounced, lingering in the shadows at night, I knew this wasn't just petty bureaucracy. This was something darker. One afternoon, while I was at work, Sarah called, her voice trembling. 3 men in crisp polos, sporting Pineview compliance enforcement badges, had shown up at our doorstep. They demanded to inspect our backyard, citing some vague rule about unauthorized structures. Sarah, polite but firm, refused. They didn't take kindly to that. They called her non-compliant, their voices dripping with menace, and promised she'd regret it. She shut the door, heart pounding, as Duke growled low. 10 minutes later, they were back, fists hammering the door, shouting about violations. Duke's sparks turned feral, and Sarah locked every bolt, waiting for me to get home. When I pulled into the driveway, they were still there, leaning against their black SUV like they owned the place. I stepped out, my boots heavy on the pavement. You threatening my wife? I asked, voice low. The biggest one, a guy with a buzz cut and a smug grin, shrugged. Just doing our job. Your wife assaulted us by slamming the door. I didn't answer. I just stared, letting the weight of my gaze sink in. They shifted uncomfortably, muttered something, and drove off. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 3 days later, I was at the hardware store, picking up lumber for a fence. My phone rang, and Sarah's sobs crackled through the line. She'd been outside, tending the garden, when those same men returned. One grabbed her wrist as she tried to bring Duke inside, shoving her hard. When she pushed back, he swung, his fist catching her cheek. Duke lunged, teeth bared, and they scrambled to their SUV, peeling out. Sarah was left bruised, blood trickling from her lip. By the time I got home, they were parked 2 houses down, watching our place like vultures. I didn't knock. I didn't yell. I walked straight to their vehicle, yanked open the driver's door, and hauled the guy out by his collar. You hit my wife? I asked, my voice ablade. He smirked, unfazed. She resisted enforcement. That's when instinct took over. My elbow cracked into his nose, blood spraying across his polo. The second guy fumbled for something, pepper spray, maybe. I grabbed his wrist, twisted it back, and drove my knee into his chest, dropping him to the pavement. The third tried to bolt, but I tackled him into the grass, pinning his face into the HOA-approved sod. He whimpered, begging me to stop. The police arrived, sirens cutting through the dusk. I expected cuffs, a night in a cell. But the cops weren't here for me. Turns out, these enforcers weren't legit. The HOA had hired a crew of ex-security thugs, armed with fake badges and vague bylaws, to bully residents into submission. Sarah wasn't their first target, but she was the first to fight back, and I was the last man they should have crossed. The 3 were cuffed and charged with assault, trespassing, and impersonation. The HOA board, now under a county investigation for illegal contracts and unauthorized enforcement, scrambled to distance themselves, but the damage was done. Sarah's healing, though the bruise on her cheek lingers, a faint purple shadow. Duke hasn't left her side since, his eyes scanning the windows for threats. I dug my medals out of storage and hung them on the wall, not to relive the wars I fought, but to send a message. We don't bend to intimidation, not from fake enforcers or power-hungry suits. Pineview Meadows might look perfect, but its secrets are rotting. And if they come for us again, they'll find out what happens when you push a soldier too far.